If you remember yesterday, in our previous video, Paul starts his list of the qualities of love with what I think may be one of the most difficult to put into practice. Patient. Breathe for just a minute and mull that over. Love is patient. I need to hear these words myself. As a father, as a husband, as a human being, I'm not always patient. Sometimes I feel like I repeat myself a million times a day. I feel unheard, misunderstood, or outright ignored. Sometimes I find myself frustrated by a situation that every human being in history has been through. Then I have to remind myself that I'm not always the best listener either. As I contemplate Jesus' ministry and his way of interacting with people, I can't help but be amazed by his patience, specifically with the disciples. When Jesus is confronted by the Pharisees about his disciples eating with unclean hands, unwashed hands, in Matthew chapter 16, Jesus pushes back on the Pharisees for treating traditions as though they were more important than the commandments, or more important even than people. Then he turns to the crowd, those who have been following him, and he says this: "Hear and understand. It is not what goes into the mouth that defiles a person, but what comes out of the mouth. This defiles a person." Then the disciples came to him. "Do you know that the Pharisees were offended when they heard this saying?" He answered, "Every plant that my heavenly Father has not planted will be rooted up. Let them alone. They are blind guides, and if the blind lead the blind, both will fall into a pit." But Peter said to him, "Explain the parable to us." And he said, "Are you also without understanding? Do you not see that whatever goes into the mouth passes into the stomach and is expelled? But what comes out of the mouth proceeds from the heart. And this defiles a person. For out of the heart comes evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false witness, slander. These are what defile a person. But to eat with unwashed hands does not defile anyone." So, this is good, solid teaching all around, and I may be giving Peter and the other disciples too little credit here. After all, we have 2,000 years of cultural reflection and familiarity with the teachings of Jesus to serve our understanding, but these guys seem like they can be pretty dense. Let's be clear, over and over and over again, Jesus is having to explain what seems like fairly plain teachings to his disciples. Of course, Jesus sometimes speaks in ways that do require significant thought and reflection to fully understand what the heart of his statement is. We do call those parables. Parables aren't always difficult to understand, but sometimes they are. This, however, is not even a parable. It's just Jesus saying that what a person says reveals the quality of a heart, either good or bad. But Jesus, though surprised that they don't understand, is patient to explain his words again. Never mind that Peter is as confused by plain teaching as he is by the parables. When we find that people are slow to get on board, when we find that people are slow to get on board with an idea or plan we have, many of us move on without them. Jesus' love for his disciples often leads to him repeating himself so that they can catch up. It leads to him explaining in greater detail something that, at least to our eyes, seems to be fairly plain and simple. When his disciples don't understand his ministry and mission, Jesus doesn't give up on them. He shows them. I love you, and I pray today that you would practice that patience of Jesus with the people in your life. Remember that Jesus is patient with you.